Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we are looking at the Stinger. So, looking here on startedon.net, the Stinger was a light battle mech built in 2479 as a direct competitor to the Wasp. The second ever mass produced recon mech, the Stinger was put into service alongside the Wasp due both to the Terran hegemony's need for scouts and the similarities in their design. In fact, the two were so similar that General Mechanics filed suit against Earthworks Incorporated for copyright infringement. And after 20 years of back and forth, legal actions during which the Stinger production continued unabated, GM eventually dropped the matter due to rising costs of pursuing the lawsuit. The Stinger would go on to become the second most produced mech in the Innersphere after the Wasp. More than 200,000 units were built between the time of its introduction and the end of the Ameris Civil War, serving with the great houses as a vulnerable scout and raider, though lacking the armor and armaments to contend with larger mechs. Its speed and maneuverability made the Stinger a hard foe to hit. The Stinger's sheer proliferation saved it from the ravages of the Succession Wars, though in testament to the destructiveness of the era. Only 5,000 Stingers were estimated to still be in service in 23 or in 3025. Kitten, are you? I got a cat trying to climb the back of my chair here. Um, the mech also found itself past pressed into the role of trainer to make up for the decreasing number of still working chameleons, common everywhere except within the Free Roslog Republic. Earthworks was still the largest producer of the mech during this time, building them in factories on Keystone and Callaway 6. For many years, the second largest Stinger producer was uh, Coventry Metalworks out of Coventry. But in the time leading up to the clan invasion, they were overtaken by the Tauran concurrent manufacturers, in particular Vandenberg Mechanized Industries on Vandenberg and Elysian uh, and Pinnard Protectorates Limited on McLeod's land. As CMW shifted production focus to the Commando. The other major manufacturers in the periphery included Majesty Metals and Manufacturing on Copious 4 and Alliance Defenders Limited on Alfreds. While a prolific mech like the Wasp and Locust, there were never many variants of the Stinger produced on Earth. Works utilized the recovery of lost tech to introduce and update versions of the mech. The STG-5M in 3050, a more revolutionary change took place some years later when the kitten when the Torrens inspired by their collaboration with the Capellian Confederation. I'm being attacked by a cat. I'm sorry. On the revitalized Wasp variant, yes, kitten, decided to do some of their stockpiles of Stingers lacking sufficient facilities to mass produce the advanced material needed for this upgraded. The Torrens received assistance from the word of Blake to kickstart their program in exchange for a large number of Stinger and Wasp mechs. Plans for advanced Stingers would eventually be shared by Detroit Consolidated and House Point Industrials. You silly kitten. I'm being attacked left and right. I have a very affectionate kitty cat here. I do apologize, but she is making filming interesting lately. All right, so weapons and equipment. So the Stinger carried a light weapons load with an Omicron 3000 medium laser mounted in its right arm as a primary weapon, backed up with two LFN Lindbald machine guns on the right and left forearm. With 1 ton of ammo stored in the center torso, while insufficient for fighting against most mechs, this loadout made the Stinger a nightmare for troops, and it remained one of the best anti infantry mechs until the introduction of the Firestarter. The iron sights on the machine guns also proved beneficial when the mech became a trainer, as mech warriors were often forced to rely on them during training. This served to improve many pilots' motor skills, which produced which proved useful in other areas, such as using their hand actuators to manipulate objects. The low heat output of the weapon systems also posed no challenge for the 10 single heat sinks the mech carried, such as overheating was almost never a problem. Its cruising speed was 63.4 kilometers an hour, was supplemented by 6 jump jets split between the left and right leg, propelling the Stinger up to 180 meters in a single bound. 3 tons of armor on the Stinger was considered average for light mechs, which is to say a few good shots could cause serious damage. One unpopular aspect of the Stinger, however, was its incredibly cramped cockpit for anyone of average size. A mech warrior had to literally squeeze themselves into the control seat and would often need help just to get back out. All right, so we do have a couple different variants to go through here as we kind of just scroll down, and there are a number of them. So let's get into this. All right, so the Stinger 3G was the only mainstream variant of the Stinger to achieve any sort of popularity prior to the Klan invasion. First debuted in 2581, it traded the 2 machine guns for a second medium laser mounted in the left arm. While this variant increased the Stinger's lethality against other mechs, it also made heat management a little more complicated for less experienced mech warriors. The 3GB, the Royal Stinger introduced in 2720, used an XL engine and endosteel chassis to be able to mount a battery of 3 medium lasers and 1 small laser. The single heat sinks were upgraded to double heat sinks, and the speed and jumping distance of the mechs of the mech were also improved slightly. The 3P, a Jihad era repair yard, refitted the vulnerable Stinger unveiled in 3071. The 3P was built on an endosteel chassis and carried as its only weapon either a Fugelson Mini or a Lord's Light 3 light PPC, capable of striking a target at up to 540 meters. Additionally, the 3P carried 4 tons of ferrofibrous armor to protect it from enemy fire. The 4G, a Jihad era experiment, the Stinger uses an endosteel chassis and an XL engine to increase speed up to 111 kilometers an hour. A medium pulse laser is carried in each arm, and it also retains the 180-meter jump capability. We have the 5G, based on the 3P variant and introduced in 3076. This model also uses endosteel chassis and adds an XL engine. The engine gives the 5G a top speed of 111 kilometers an hour and provides enough weight saving to add more armor, a light PPC, and advanced PPC capacitor to enhance its lethality. In addition to extra armor, the pilot is protected by a full head ejection system. The 5M. This upgraded version of the Stinger, produced by Earthworks Incorporated on Keystone and Callaway 6, took advantage of several technologies that were rediscovered, thanks in part to Helm Memory Core The chassis was upgraded to an Earthworks STG2 Endo-Steel model, allowing it to carry an additional half-ton of armor. The mech retained the Omicron 3000 medium laser, but swapped the machine guns for an LFN Lindbald shotgun anti-missile system on its right arm and a Flame Tech flamer on its left. 1 ton of AMS ammo was carried in the right torso. We have the 5R. Oops. Okay, so the 5R variant was created by the Torin Concorde with assistance from the Word of Blake. This upgrade to the Stinger used 3 tons of Duralex light ferrofibrous armor, carried a diverse optics ER medium laser in the right arm, and 2 Death Blossom RL-15 RL-15 split between the side torsos. Perhaps most important change is, or as far as the pilot comfort was concerned, was replacing the cramped cockpit with a new head assembly, which included a full head ejection system. The chassis and electronics remained unchanged, so the refits existing Stingers could be carried out in a matter of months. The first Torian units to receive the upgraded mechs did so in early 3067, while the Word of Blake received theirs earlier. The 5R produced on Vandenberg, McLeod's Land, and Detroit. The 5T, capable of engaging an enemy at any range. The periphery manufactured 5T variant of the Stinger, introduced in 3068, was armed with 2 Doombud MML-3s, so medium missile launchers, which were capable of firing both LRM, multi missile launchers, I'm sorry, LRM and SRM ammunition, making the 5T extremely flexible, appearing in Torin and uh, Magistry units. The 5T was powered by an XL engine and was clad in 3 tons of Duralex light ferrofibrous armor. The 6G. This future development of the uh, STG 5G returns to the earlier Stinger design, carrying a machine gun in each arm and a medium X pulse laser in the right arm. The 6G uses a XL engine to reach the top speed of 111 kilometers an hour, and it can cover 210 meters in a single jump. 10 double heat sinks keep the heat under control, and a half ton of machine gun ammo is in the center torso. The 6L, this House Leo manufactured 6L variant of the Stinger, utilizes an endosteel structure and stealth armor introduced in 3067 and produced on Detroit and Scion for both the Capellians and Magistry. The mech carried 2 medium lasers and a Guardian ECM suite, and also replaced the engine with a LTV 160 model, increasing the top speed to 130 kilometers an hour at the expense of dropping all the jump jets. The 6M, this further development of the 5M, replaces the weapons with an ER flamer, medium laser, and a laser AM anti-missile system. We have the 6R. This scout version of the Stinger mounts a 160 rated XL engine for top speed of 120 kilometers an hour, while 8 jump jets provide a 240-meter jump capacity. Each arm mounts a heavy machine gun, and an ER medium laser provides the Stinger's main firepower. Okay. Then we have the 6S. Intended to operate at a longer range than most other Stinger variants, House Steiner began manufacturing the 6S in 3067. It used light fusion engine to push the mech's speeds up to 118.8 kilometers an hour, and was capable of reaching speeds of 151.2 kilometers an hour through the use of a mask system. This mech could also jump to 210 meters. An additional weight saving measure on the variant was the use of a small cockpit. The mech was armed with two light machine guns for anti infantry and crowd control use. And to defend itself against mechs, the vehicle and vehicles, the 6S had a single ER medium laser. The 7S, the Steiner's version introduced in 3077, maximizes jump range by mounting 8 improved jump jets, allowing it to cover 240 meters in a single leap. The Stinger 7S is built around the endo-steel chassis and carries an XL engine, but carries only 3 tons of armor and a single ER medium laser. Pilots should therefore use the jumping ability to its fullest to avoid damage, but a full head ejection system is available in case the armor is breached. Increasingly, the model's left leg carries slightly less armor than the right leg. The Stinger C. So this is a clan variant. Originally used by Hell's Horses as a trainer, the Stinger C is also used by Clan Wolf, retaining the standard engine and jump jets of the 3R, meaning the Stinger C is just as mobile as the original, but endosteel is used to free up some weight. The standard machine guns are replaced with lighter Clan models, and the ammo is reduced to half-ton in case protected magazine in the left torso. The Clan grade ER medium laser replaces the standard laser, and a small pulse laser is mounted below it. The Stinger C is marginally better against armored targets, but is even deadlier against infantry. And finally, we have the Stinger C2, a subvariant of the C used first by the Blood Spirits. The Stinger C2 is now widespread amongst the clans. This variant removes the machine guns completely and uses the weight to mount another ER medium laser in the left arm. All right, so design quirks. Now it is rugged, ubiquitous, and cramped cockpit. Related designs. Now we do have the Stinger Lamb, which we will eventually get to, and we have the Stinger 2C, which is the clan variant that, as it was listed here, is the Stinger C or Stinger C2. Um, Looking at all the wonderful pictures that we do have here, this is our standard original look, and it is produced by Luce, who was the original illustrator for so many of the pictures that we had in the original manuals. Uh, and then this is an alternate picture that quite often was put onto a cardstock and kind of folded over for being a paper variant of our um, mechs going onto the board. Because, most people, when this all first started off, we did not have all the uh, miniatures that we do today. So we actually had just cardboard or paper cardboard, kind of just variations of the mechs, and we went that way. And to note, there is so much of a holdover because this is also the same design that was used in Robotech, which many of us may have started off there. For us old timers, you saw it in Robotech, and then you wanted to see it again in Battletech. And Luce, he was doing drawings for both of them, so it was wonderful to see the differences. And then we get to see, this is a 3P variant from the 3085. So this is obviously an upgraded variant. And as you notice, things are a different look on here, most notably because they had to change how the Stinger had looked because of the lawsuit from Harmony Gold and all that disgusting news that had gone on early on in Battletech's history. All right, so we have a 5R variant. So this is with the rocket launcher, 15s in there. Let's see, we have the 6L. So we see the weapons underneath the arms here, and it's going to be on both sides, I believe. What else do we have here? We also have this variant where it looks a little bit closer to what the Wasp was, because now this is a fixed cannon on there instead of looking like it's more of a rifle variant of the cannon. And this is obviously an older version where, again, we have more of the rifle look to it. And let's get into, here we go. So yes, and I do have this. This came in a box set for learning BattleTech, and I do know I have one of these. Um, and yes, it looks very much like what Loose had drawn for us. They had done a very good job, and it was the old plastic mold. And this looks like it is a slightly upgraded variant. A little less of the cockpit here has some resemblance to it, but a little less. Um, just kind of going from there. All right. So next, let's get into our D6 stats so we can see what this looks like if we were to run this into our D6 campaign. Just, you know, not the BattleTech, which I would do BattleTech, but if we're going to run this as a regular role playing game and you turn the corner and you're looking at a Stinger, this is what I would most likely. All right. So looking at the, oops, I did it wrong, didn't I? No, it's a Stinger, but as I was changing things, I kind of goofed up and I still left the, the Wasp up here. So I apologize. All right. So looking at the Stinger, which is going to be very much the same. So it's still going to be 8 meters tall, crew of one, passengers of none. I still have in here the 45 kilograms, although with them talking about the cockpit being so cramped, I'm going to drop that down to 25 kilograms. Cover is going to be full. It's going to have ground altitude, has a maneuverability of 2D plus one, um, a move of 91 kilometers. Actually, I think they said it was a little bit slower than that. Let me, because I know I had the same stats there. So as I'm getting everything all kind of messed up here, nope, it says speed is 91.6. So just kind of trying to keep everything all the same. 180 meters for our jump capacity. Body strength is still going to be our 2D plus one with 48 armor points. We have the medium laser in the right arm, Walker scale. Fire control is going to be a 2D, same range because these are our base measurements, and it's going to be at a 5D damage. But now we have the two machine guns. So this is front, left, and right arm, Walker scale. Um, it's going to have a fire control of 2D, and it's going to have our range of 30, 60, and 90 meters, and a damage of 2D. Now, the reason why it's all at 2D is because this is all set for going up against other battle mechs. Remember, because it is at Walker scale, when we convert that down, if you're doing anti infantry for policing or whatever, we're going to add 4D. We add 2D when it goes down to speeder scale, and an additional 2D when we go to personnel scale. So it will now be a 6D damage. That's individually, that's not them together. So just kind of keeping that at that point. If we were to put them together, it would be a 7D against infantry. So just want to really point that out. Uh, Pretty much identical to what we had with the Wasp. Um, and as the write up had really kind of pointed out, there was a lot of litigation back and forth between the companies. And it's just wonderful flavor that the original FASA Corporation and the gentleman, and I'm sure a couple ladies were involved in all this stuff too back then, but as they had worked on everything, they built a wonderful universe with all the little quirks going on here and there. um, and we get to read about it when we have all this. Whether it's litigation between corporations or when you get into mercenaries that you have some people that collect certain. I think one of them collected butterflies or whatever in the middle of a battlefield, was chasing a butterfly because it was a rare butterfly that they didn't have in their collection. It's just the stories that they had come up with that is just so amazing to go with everything else. So, with that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's always wonderful having you here. Me and Indy appreciate it, and I know she's not pestering me at the moment, but she is down by my feet. Thanks for putting up with me being attacked by a cat as well, by the way. Hopefully, you're doing well, and I will see you in the next video.